Culture swap.
Culture swap.
Swap my culture.
What did we watch this week, Liam?
We
You
watched.
said it in the intro.
Yeah, but just in case, people skip. We watched Making a Murderer, the first 3 episodes. So, listeners, gonna let you know now, there's going to be spoilers.
But only for the first 3 episodes.
Exactly, we have not yet watched beyond that. If this is a show that you are interested in, we probably won't spoil too much in the great scheme of things, because I have a feeling there's, another 8 episodes to go?
Yeah, there's probably a lot more twists ahead.
But if you do want to approach it completely fresh, stop listening, because we're gonna be doing spoilers.
Yep.
Still with us? So, Making a Murderer. Now, before we get into the show itself, Jack, we both came to this suggestion, didn't we? Like, it wasn't one of us suggested it over the other person.
No, both of us came in blind.
Yeah, so what I'd like to know is, what had you heard about the show previously that had got your curiosity?
Well, the people that have watched it were like, it's incredible.
Yes, that is...
It was really built up.
Yeah, because I think it was released towards the end of last year.
Yeah.
And yeah, it got quite a lot of very good feedback.
Yeah, the first 3 episodes...
Yep.
They don't really live up to that feedback for me.
I would somewhat disagree.
Okay.
I think episode 1 and the first half of episode 2 don't. More the first half of episode 2.
Yeah,
but by
episode 1's actually quite good.
Yeah, by episode 3, I'm 100% on board with this show at the moment.
See, it's got... Episode 3 definitely gets better than episode 2.
Yeah. Let's go to the beginning, right? So let's start with episode 1, okay? So we're introduced to Steven Avery, who is this blonde, bearded guy. These are all real people. It's a documentary, so we have to be careful with what we say. But he doesn't look like the sort of guy that I would particularly want to share a pint with, Well,
no, yeah, he's definitely not our type of person.
No. And I don't think he's going to be listening to the podcast either. But
he might do.
Well, if so...
He's in jail, because we're not sure how
we don't know how it ends, exactly. So, the first episode is all about him being wrongfully accused for a rape.
Yes.
And he spends 18 years in prison, always contesting his innocence.
Yep.
And then new DNA evidence after 18 years completely rules him out and actually fingers the correct person who was at fault.
Yeah,
who committed the crime.
It's not even like the DNA evidence part of it's new, but it also gets revealed that they had lots of evidence that pointed at that guy anyway.
Yes, so and it does kind of explain a little bit about sort of just this guy standing in the community. He was familiar with the police, and I feel like the documentary very deliberately tries to get you to side with Steven Avery, and maybe even sympathise with him. Particularly in the first episode, where admittedly they had the easier job of doing that.
Yeah.
Now, what surprised me at first when I was watching the first episode is it actually feels like quite a contained story, and you get to the end, and I actually thought, wait a second, is each episode going to be a different case? Because
it's a very cut and dry. That first episode is
exactly, and it covers a lot of ground as well. Like we do cover 18 years, and we do get a lot into the different police that were involved and the timeline of the events and how these stories can start to be questioned, particularly from the side of the police. Now, there is one thing that's revealed in episode 1, and as soon as it was revealed, I instantly, the defences went up, and I just couldn't get on Steven Avery's side. And I still, we're 3 episodes in, and I still feel like the documentary is trying to make me sympathise with this guy, and I keep coming back to this thing that happened in episode 1.
Can I try and guess what it is?
You can indeed.
Is it the bit where he threw a cat onto a fire?
Yes.
Yep, 100%. That was the bit that I was like, okay, this guy's a dickhead.
Exactly. Anyway. Now, and here's the thing. Yes, it is a shame that he was wrongfully imprisoned for 18 years, and the guy that did it was allowed to commit other crimes during those 18 years. However, what I will say, I would rather someone be wrongfully imprisoned for 18 years that would throw a cat onto a fire than someone that's completely innocent, or even someone that's just had a couple of DUIs or breaking and entering, because someone that could throw a cat onto a fire clearly has no concept of life.
I don't think he threw the cat on the fire is the thing. Because
I think he
the
does.
actual conviction was party to animal cruelty.
I think he does say he did it though.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah, he does say he was
But
just
yeah,
goofing.
he
He
said
said
that,
he
like-
said he was being pressured into doing it by his friends.
I don't think he should be put into jail for that.
No, I'm not saying.
Like,
I'm not saying
I get what
he
you're
should have been
but
wrongfully accused.
I
I'm
think
saying
you're being very extreme.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if it was between him and a completely innocent guy, I'd go for the cat setting on fire person to be wrongfully accused.
But I think the point you're trying to make, and I think you're making it in a slightly over the top way, maybe,
Yeah.
is that the show tried to paint him as a good guy,
Yes.
but he's clearly not a good guy.
Yes, and also, this cat on fire incident, I don't know if you felt like this, but I felt like the show glossed over it.
It's a very like.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he
says
did
it in one of
this.
the interviews.
Yeah,
And
there's
they're
a phone interview, and he's like, oh yeah, I was young, I was stupid, blah, 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 and then done. I'm like, wait a second. Being young and stupid is no excuse for being a fucking animal.
It's not.
So that bothered me. And ever since that, I just can't get on his side, even though the show really feels like it's trying to manufacture
I think
my
it's
feelings.
only doing that really for episode 1 and sort of half of episode 2.
Yeah, I think this is where we disagree quite a lot on this show, though.
Okay, well let's carry on. So episode 1, that happens.
Yeah, and it felt very cut and dry. Episode 2, the first half gets very much into the lawsuit that he's trying to bring to the police to get some compensation for the 18 years he lost.
Yeah, and it does turn out that the police were like, it's huge. Like when there's that interview specifically with the guy that did the drawing of him.
Yes.
And that guy is so dodgy.
Oh, that is ridiculous. That guy will just not listen to anyone.
Yeah,
he's
it's the bit
so
where they're
sure of
like-
himself.
Where they're like, yeah, no, but it's been proven that it wasn't him. And he's like, well, you know, I drew the face. And they're like, yeah, so you're saying that your drawing of his face is more important than DNA evidence. And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, where did the DNA evidence come from? And you're like, what are you saying?
Yeah, that guy was just a complete twat.
Mm-hmm.
He's the sort of guy that you could imagine he'd go home with that picture and his mum would be like, aren't you a good boy? Let's stick it on the fridge. And he'd just be super fucking proud of himself.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's ridiculous. But I must admit, I found the first half of episode 2 really boring. Like, I really struggled with it.
Oh yeah, it's not thrilling viewing.
No. But then something happens.
So the exciting bit is that... Well, exciting's the wrong word.
This is a point that you made to me earlier, where it's really hard, because it's a documentary, it's hard to not approach it as a piece of entertainment, because we were talking about how we were looking up the names of the people involved, but we didn't want to spoil the ending.
Yeah, exactly. And that's such a horrible attitude to have. Like, it's not
Yes.
horrible, but it's the wrong attitude for
Definitely.
what it is.
Definitely.
Because it's real people's lives. And
Yeah.
it's a real girl that, you know, has died.
Exactly, but I also completely agree with you when you say what happens in episode 2 is exciting.
Yeah, it shouldn't be, but it is. But that's the way they've done it. It's very confusing how you're meant to feel.
Yes.
But yeah, so suddenly we discover that a girl goes missing.
Yes.
And this girl, the last person to see her was Steven Avery. She came to she knew him from before because she came and photographed his cars.
Yeah, she works for Auto Trader magazine, I believe.
Yes, and he runs like a scrapyard.
Yes.
So that's the connection. He was the last person to see her before she went missing. And there's an interview with him where they're talking to him and they say, have the police contacted you about this? And he's like, yeah, they haven't said anything. I let them search my house. They didn't find anything.
Yeah. Can I also say there's a really chilling video that I think they put at the start of episode 2 where it's Teresa and it's her talking about if she were to die, she feels like she's achieved a lot in life. And it was just one of those things where it almost felt scripted. It was like it was too perfect of a clip to use considering what has happened.
Yeah.
It was really, really bizarre to see that.
Yeah.
And I've got to admit, that clip did make me feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, 100%.
So episode 2, I believe, ends with him sort of being held accountable for the crime. Is that how it ends?
I think there's... because I watched them all in a row, I can't really remember where they end properly.
Okay. Well, episode 3 really dives into it. So in episode 3, the police definitely think it's him. There's DNA evidence in the car. There's DNA evidence in his living room, I believe it is.
Yes, yeah.
And it looks like it's pretty much he is up against a wall. Definitely him. But he still was protesting his innocence.
Yes, and some of his family are on his side, his parents.
Yes.
And he's very much like, well, they're just trying to frame me.
Yeah, he takes what I would consider... It comes across as a very immature stance, where there's a scene where he's talking to a a cop who's interrogating him, and the cop's just like, can you even hear yourself right now? Because Steven Avery is just like, they've got it in for me. All of this is just them colluding against me.
Yeah.
And it does just sound like a child throwing a tantrum.
It does, yeah.
But he makes a point in episode 1 that I think they make a lot about it, where he says if he's guilty, he'll do the time and he'll confess to it. And the reason why he was so constantly fighting it, I'm getting myself confused now. The reason why in episode 1, where he was innocent, he was always fighting his innocence. And yeah. I think they even say if he'd have admitted he'd have done it, he'd have got out on parole or something.
Yeah, they won't give parole in that state to anyone that doesn't admit they've done the crime.
Exactly. So he self-imposed those 18 years to protest his innocence. So that plays into this now. That's going to be in the back of your mind when he is still protesting his innocence. And because it's happened to him already, there is that element of doubt that's going on. And then something happens in the middle of episode 3 which just really changes things.
Which is that his nephew...
Yes.
Who is... I can't remember his name.
Brendan?
Brendan, that's it. So Brendan basically says that he went to... He was over at the scrapyard for some reason.
He was on his way home from school.
He saw that there was mail in the mailbox.
Yep.
He heard screams.
Yep.
He took the mail and walked up to his uncle's door. He then knocks on the door 3 times. His uncle answers.
Sweaty.
Steven Avery answers. He's very sweaty. That's a big point in one of the press interviews.
Yeah.
He then brings Brendan in, and they find... they phrase it very strangely because they say they find, and I was like, well... Steven didn't find, if that's the case.
Yes.
He knew it was there. But so they go into his bedroom, and what's the lady's name?
Teresa
Halbach.
Teresa
Halbach is handcuffed to the bed, and then
naked.
Steven encourages his nephew to rape her. Then they slit her throat, shoot her, and burn the body.
Yes.
Which is very dark. And
it is really grim.
Yeah. And that's the huge turning point, because suddenly you're like, oh, wow, okay, so he did do it.
Yeah. But then...
But then we find out that the police investigators, they have a series of interviews with Brendan, who is not... He's not mentally handicapped.
No, but he's not bright.
He's not the sharpest tool in the shed. And they have an interview with him where they're trying to they have a piece of evidence. They haven't released to the public that she was shot.
In the head.
So they have an interview with him, and they say, if we can get him to say, we shot her in the head, that's the evidence. That's it. We've got him.
That corroborates their...
Yeah, because no one knows that.
Yeah.
But as hard as they try, and they try really hard, they're pushing it way too much. It's insane.
Oh, yeah.
They're trying to get Brendan to say, we shot her in the head. And they're saying, well, what did you do? You did something specifically to the head. What happened to her head? And he's saying, well, he punched her.
And they're like, what else?
Yeah, and it's and then eventually they get so frustrated that one of the interviewers says, look, we know you shot her in the head, or who shot her?
Yeah.
And
who shot her in the head?
He did it.
Yeah.
And so up to that point, you've been like, oh, okay, well, if his nephew's saying he did it, he must have. But then it suddenly takes on a whole new light again, and you're like, oh, are they framing him again?
That, and then one of the lawyers makes a really good point, where it's like, if she had a slit throat, there would be blood DNA evidence in that room.
Yes, and there was no blood on the mattress.
Yes. So,
and also, there's the bit with Brendan as well, where his mum comes in.
Yeah.
And he's looking very upset, which you understand. He also doesn't understand that he's being arrested.
No.
It's all very you do feel bad for the 16-year-old kid.
Yeah, although he does also look a little bit like a psycho.
Yeah, well, a little bit. But
yeah.
But then he says to his mum, what's going to happen if his story's different to mine?
Yeah.
And she says, why? What did you say to them? And he's like, I don't know. They got in my head.
Yeah.
So clearly he doesn't really know what... It's very easy to believe that they've tricked him into saying this.
Oh, definitely. Or even coerced him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still... To me, it still comes across like they did something to her.
Yeah, there's definitely more than meets the eye here.
Yeah.
And at the moment, it feels like the documentary is presenting a bit of a him versus the police narrative.
Yeah.
So the two camps of thought from what we've seen so far is you'd either be in the camp of Steven Avery definitely did it, or someone else did it, but the police are planting evidence or framing him or setting him up to be the one that did it. And they even give justification for why the police would do that, because I think he was suing them for $400,000. As soon as he got arrested for this, that settlement completely collapsed.
Yep.
And Steven Avery just comes across like a right prick. Like, there's a scene where he's talking to his parents and he's saying, I'm giving myself 2 weeks and then I'm going to kill myself.
Yes, yeah.
And they're like, well, don't do that. We're putting the business up for your bail, and we're going to get some money and try and get you a really good lawyer. And his response to that isn't like, oh, that's a big risk, or thank you, or anything. It's just like, why haven't you done that sooner? Get your asses in gear.
Yeah.
And he just comes across as just a real horrible person. But I don't think he did it. From what I've seen so far, I don't think he did it.
Really?
Yeah, I think, again, one of the reasons for this is I think we've got 8 episodes to go, and I think there's just so much more to this story. I think he maybe is involved to a degree, but as for him actually doing it, I don't think so. I think this whole her being tied up on a bed, or handcuffed on a bed and raped and stuff, that I think could be complete fiction from the 16-year-old kid.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Steven Avery maybe had some part, he maybe agreed to take the car or something, maybe. Like, I equally find it hard to believe that the police would plant his, like, blood evidence in a car.
Yeah, it's...
But I just think there's got to be a lot more.
That the police are not good in this. They're doing something wrong. They're being very manipulative and trying to get this conviction.
Yes.
But it also wouldn't surprise me if it turns out he has done this.
So do you think he has at this point?
At this point, I think it is him.
Okay.
But there's... Because one of the things they say in, I think it's episode 3, is they're talking... Someone's... I can't remember who it is they're interviewing. But they say, if Stephen did it... I think it's his lawyer that was his lawyer in the first case.
Yeah.
And she says, the Stephen I know wouldn't have done it.
Yes.
But the Stephen that came out of jail is not that Stephen. And she says that even if he did do it, she says she doesn't know if he did. But if he did, is it because he spent 18 years in jail?
Yeah, and she said you would understand why someone would have a lot of rage.
Yes, yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't her. Someone definitely said you could understand why he would have a lot of rage, but they also said...
Oh, maybe is it his aunt? It might be his aunt. Says
so
that. Yeah.
His aunt says you would understand after 18 years why you would have a lot of rage, but you wouldn't necessarily turn that rage into killing someone. You would sue as he was doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
but I don't know, yeah, it's very...
So the title, Making a Murderer, okay? How are you reading that at the moment?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm reading it as, by being put into jail
yeah,
and being messed up, they make him into a murderer.
Okay, and I think the other reading of that is the police literally framing someone to make them a murderer.
Yeah.
So, and it does go into that, you know, would he have... If he did do it, then it asks the question, would he have done it if he hadn't have been imprisoned wrongfully for 18 years?
Yeah, see, because that's where I think the next 8 episodes or whatever are going to go.
Yeah.
That's why I'm thinking it might be him, and we might get another episode about, like, did he do it?
Yeah.
Which I assume will be a theme throughout. Like, I'm not saying they're going to suddenly just go, yeah, it was him.
Yep.
But I imagine there'll be episodes of, like, what happened to him in prison.
Yes.
You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so hard to say. And again, it's real people, and it's like a real thing that happened.
And even though we've seen like 3 hours of it now, it is really fascinating because it's still... There's still a lot unexplained.
Yeah, but that's the way with, like, real cases like this.
I know, but I would say this is even, like, you couldn't write this, I don't think, as, like, fiction. It's just so bizarre. There are so many elements to it.
You could write it.
Would you, though?
See, that's the question. You could write it, because you could write anything.
I just don't think anyone would come up with something like that. Like, for someone to be wrongfully accused twice is just so coincidental as well.
Well, no, it's not like you said. There's reason for the police to do it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And they also establish as well, like, because the first time it happens, the main person that sort of causes it to carry on is his cousin, who doesn't like him,
and is married to someone in the police force.
The sheriff, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
And like the sheriff got more involved than he should have.
Yeah,
and was pushing for Steven to get the blame.
It is a really interesting show. Like I said, at this point, I am really on board. I'm looking forward to seeing the next episode. Yeah,
I'll admit, talking to you about it, I'm now more interested than I was earlier.
Yeah, like halfway through episode 2, I was like, this is a real chore. I'm struggling with this. And this is the thing, with shows like this, and also quite recently I tried to watch Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Shows like that as well, where they throw a lot of information at you. I don't know if you get this, but after an hour, they make me tired.
Nope, I don't get that.
Yeah, my little brain is just like information overload. I need a rest.
Little lizard Liam's brain.
Yeah. And it was getting like that halfway through episode 2. I was like, it's just too much going on. All these facts and figures and names.
Yeah,
I need
because
to sleep.
episode 2 is very much like, here are the facts.
Yeah. By episode 3, though, I was just like, this is just way too interesting to make me sleepy. Like, all my brain is firing. I'm trying to like figure it out as we go along, and I'm like, who can we believe? Who can we not believe? It is crazy.
Yeah.
Did you listen to Serial last year?
Yes, I did.
Which was a podcast series that blew up, and again was a true crime story.
Yeah.
How do you think this compares to that?
Well, it's hard to say, being only 3 episodes in.
That is true.
Because one of the things with Serial is that you don't get the definitive answer at the end.
No, there's a
And
lot
that was
of
very much like I don't know. It would have been nice if, even though I know they couldn't give a definitive answer, it would have been nice if there was like.
Yeah, it did feel like they didn't resolve it very well.
Because at the end, like the lady in Serial didn't even make a point of saying what she thought. She was like, "There's all the facts.
Yeah,
see what you think."
Yeah, but there's a lot of comparisons, right? Especially so there's a thing they do a lot in Serial. They do a little bit in this where they give that automated line where it says something like, "This is a collect call from some jail. Would you like to receive the charges?" And once I heard that in this, that's what made me start thinking about Serial. And I was going to say to you, do you think there's an interest in these real life cases that was maybe? I think there's always been an interest in real life cases, but the success of Serial, do you think that has made something like Making a Murderer like helped its popularity? Perhaps?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because they say this has been 10 years in the making, this documentary.
Yeah, but I think it's easy for it to have been in the making, but then Serial to come out and then say, "Oh, cool, this is a great time for us to release it."
Yeah,
they might have been making it anyway, but then Serial has definitely made it more popular now than it would have been.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that this does have some sort of resolution by the end, because I think it'd be frustrating to get through. Is it 13 episodes? And the end, they're just like, "Here's the facts. What do you think?"
Yeah, which at
this stage. Yeah, at this stage, I'd be like, I don't know. Yeah. I think everyone's awful in this story, just for different reasons. Yeah, trust no one. So, what would you give this out of 5?
I think at the moment 3.5.
Yeah,
but I'm willing to accept that it might get better.
Yeah,
and I think it almost definitely will.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to sort of almost resentfully give it 3.5 because episode 3 was a solid 4, but episode 1 and 2 were like 3s.
Well, one's all right.
Yeah, so I think 3.5 for the first 3 episodes is fair, but I have real high hopes that it's just going to get better from here on out.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts on that?
No. So Liam, what are we doing next time?
Next time, Jack, we are doing a movie from the early 80s called The Last American Virgin.
Okay.
Have you seen Porky's?
No.
Okay. I'd say, if you get time, try and get Porky's done as well as like a little bonus.
Why?
Because we could compare the two.
If I have time. I don't know if I have time.
Yeah. It's just like a bonus topic we could discuss if you get it done. If not,
alright,
no big deal. But Porky's is a very famous. It's sort of what's considered like the precursor to American Pie.
Yeah, I think I've heard of Porky.
Yeah, it's a real easy watch. Like, it's not going to be like one of those ones where you're like, oh, this is really boring or anything. It's like, it's a real easy breezy comedy. So it wouldn't be a chore, and I think it's like 80 to 90 minutes long.
Okay.
But they both came out the same year, and they both tackle a very similar subject matter, but in very different ways.
Okay.
So can I also recommend that to our listeners to, if they want to also, as a little bonus, get that watched?
Yeah.
Alright. So listeners, our main film is going to be The Last American Virgin. If, however, you find yourself with a little bit of extra time, try and also get Porky's watched, and you'll find out why in the next episode.
Classic Liam, suggesting we do more than is required of us.
Our audience love it.
You're a dickhead.
Well.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Nerd on Nerd. I've been Jack Kempster.
And I've been Liam Underwood.
If you want to get in contact with us, you can tweet us at nerdonnerd, or you can email us at nerdonnerdpod@gmail.com. Also, we have a question that we want you guys to answer. So if you could get in contact with us on one of those platforms, that'd be great.
Your answer might be read out next time.
It might be, that's true. We might even be so generous as to read one of your answers, or multiple of them. What are your opinions on the Oscars? Because clearly, me and Liam do not agree. Oh, also, like, go on iTunes and just, if you have time, just click on the 5-star rating. It's fine. No one's going to judge you for giving us 5 stars. Least of all us.
We would really appreciate it. It would help us make more high quality and it would help us make more of this for you.
Bye.
Bye.